In this lesson, the last lesson in our chapter 7, we are going to talk about how clouds form. Clouds have an important part in the water cycle, as you learned from the last video. Clouds bring rain and snow to all parts of the world. Without clouds, rivers and lakes would become dry. Clouds form when water vapor changes into tiny water droplets or ice crystals. Most diagrams of the water cycle include this change, as you learned last time in the last video. Whether a cloud is made of water droplets or ice crystals depends partly on the air's temperature. The temperature of air high in the clouds is often much lower than the temperature of the air close to the ground. Even on summer days, many clouds are made of ice crystals. Air pressure affects the forming of clouds. Clouds often form when air moves upward to areas of less air pressure. Saucer-shaped clouds, like those you may have seen, form when wind blows over. When air moves up, the air pressure is less. With less pressure, the air expands and cools. If the air cools enough at this new air pressure, water vapor will form droplets or ice crystals. Here's the chart of the types of clouds. Please fill this in your notes so that you have all of this information. The first type of cloud is called cirrus. High-altitude clouds form more than 6,000 meters above ground. Cirrus clouds are high-altitude clouds that are thin, wispy, and white. Clouds that grow vertically have rising air inside them. The bases of these clouds may be as low as 1,000 meters above the ground. The rising air may push the tops of these clouds higher than 12,000 meters up. Vertical clouds are sometimes called thunderheads because they often cause thunderstorms. Mid-altitude clouds, or cumulus clouds, are between 2,000 meters and 7,000 meters above the ground. Altocumulus clouds are mid-altitude clouds that look like small puffy balls. The bottoms of the clouds can look dark because sunlight may not reach them. The sides of the clouds are white because sunlight is reflecting off of them. Stratus clouds are low-altitude clouds that are often seen less than 2,000 meters above the ground. Stratus clouds are low-altitude clouds that cover the whole sky. They look dark because little sunlight gets through the layer of clouds. Fog is a cloud at ground level. It can form in several ways. One kind of fog can form on clear, cool nights with no wind. Air near the ground cools. If the air cools enough, water vapor condenses into tiny droplets and forms a cloud at or near the ground. As more droplets form and get larger, the fog appears thicker. Here's the next chart you will have to fill in. Types of precipitation. You may be surprised to learn that most rain in the United States starts as snow. The temperature of the air high above the ground is often below 0 degrees Celsius. Clouds of ice crystals form in the cold air. The ice crystals grow larger until they start to fall as snowflakes. As they fall, the crystals sometimes stick to other crystals and become larger snowflakes. If the temperature of all the air between the cloud and the ground is less than 0 degrees Celsius, the ice crystals will fall to the ground as snowflakes. When we see the form of precipitation as rain, we know that the ice crystals melt as they fall through warmer air. That makes the ice crystals melt, causing the precipitation to fall to the ground as rain. Freezing rain is when rain freezes when it hits cold objects. Ice crystals melt to form raindrops as they fall through the warm air. The layer of air close to the ground is colder than 0 degrees Celsius. This cold air makes the ground, trees, and other objects very cold. Rainwater freezes when it lands. Sleet happens when ice crystals melt as they fall through a thin layer of warm air high above the ground. If raindrops fall for a longer time through the air, they freeze before they hit the ground. Frozen raindrops are called sleet. Snow are ice crystals high in the atmosphere. They grow larger and become snowflakes, just as I said before. Hail forms when very strong winds blow upward into a cloud. These winds blow raindrops back up into the freezing air at the top of the cloud. This creates a small piece of ice. As the ice is blown through the cloud many times, many layers of water freeze on it. Finally, it gets too heavy for the winds to carry it back up. The hailstone falls to the ground. Most hailstones are about the size of a pea. Some can get bigger than a baseball.